worst weather in 2 years when the reading in Central Park hit 4 degrees. However, Watertown, New York, was the coldest spot in the nation, with 30 degrees below zero. Once the snow melts in Maine, officials there will be carefully inspecting a strip of land near an interstate highway. They will be looking to see if a sprinkling of crushed clam shells did any damage to the soil. If not, the shells will be used as landscape material in place of white marble or wood chips. A marine resource official came up with the idea as a solution to the buildup of clam shells in the state. Well, tomorrow is President's Day, and the only place to be by George is George, Washington. The sleepy village, about 100 miles southeast of Seattle, plans a big party. Thousands are expected to show up to help remember the founding father, eat a little cake, and play a lot of bingo. But if you miss the fun tomorrow, don't despair. The folks in George, Washington, plan another big bingo bash for the 4th of July. That's our report for now. Thanks for being with us. I'm Rick Moore. Stay tuned next for our new entertainment program, One-on-One. And CNN Sports Sunday will begin at its new time of 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific.
This is One-on-One with Laurin Sydney in New York.
Welcome to the first edition of One-on-One. On today's program, Geraldo Rivera will be talking with Frank Radis. Sandy Kenyon will interview Casey and Jean Kasem. But first, I'll go one-on-one with Barbara Mandrell. Barbara Mandrell is alive and well and singing up a storm 2 years after a devastating car accident, an accident that almost silenced her song forever. The two-time Grammy winner has always had a special relationship with her fans. She's the only star that has the distinction of winning the People's Choice Awards 2 years in a row. In December, Barbara signed with a new record company and is looking forward to being back on the charts soon. But with all of her accomplishments, she is most proud of her newest baby. In a very candid interview, Barbara Mandrell tells us why.
He's wonderful. Nathaniel means a gift from God.
Barbara, was this baby a planned gift for you?
Well, I hadn't really discussed this publicly. April of 1984, before my accident, Ken and I decided that we really wanted another baby. And so we were trying to have a baby. And then the accident happened in September. And after that, it really, it never even occurred to us, never thought about it, because of course, Ken and I couldn't be together. I said, I think we better see my doctor. And he examined me and he said, you're either pregnant or you have a tumor. And come to find out, I had both. So I was just very, very lucky, and Nathaniel was a gift from God, because God knew I could. He knew I could get through that pregnancy. My doctors were very concerned about it, but he got me. God got me through that.
Was there ever one moment that you weren't sure it would all be okay?
I felt sorry for myself. One day I was sitting thinking, I was hurting, and I was pitying myself, because I've always been a tomboy, and I was thinking of the things I can't do and may never do again. And, I like to play softball and always wanted to take tennis lessons, because I was always just fascinated by tennis. And shortly thereafter, I saw my automobile. There was absolutely no place at all for my legs, let alone my feet and my ankles. So I guess that that would make you understand why I felt like a real fool for feeling sorry for myself.
You've made it much easier for young country singers who are now coming through the ranks, but was it tough at all when you were starting out?
It was always a male headliner, and there used to be only a few women in country music. It didn't happen overnight, and it only came by determination on the women's part. And there's more to it than all of that, and there's many, many stories on that, which makes it to me a very interesting subject. But I am extremely proud to be among the ranks of the women in country music, because they are not dingy little, you know, They're very bright, and they're very hard-working, hard-driven, but also they're soft, and they're thoughtful, and they're considerate, and they're loving people. It's a pretty remarkable combination, the women in country music.
Now, you've almost been married 20 years to the same man. What is the secret to having a successful show business marriage?
When we married for good. Does not mean that it has all been wonderful, because we have had some real butting our heads together. I mean, you know, some real doozies. But the point is, you might as well work it out and do whatever it takes to get it back right again, because it's forever. So wouldn't you rather be happy than angry and upset or sad? And our love is just, he's very demonstrative and very affectionate, and so am I. And there has never been a day in my life, ever, that has gone by that he hasn't told me how much he loves me.
The most recent news for Barbara is that she's just signed a deal to host her own syndicated television variety show. When One-on-One returns, we'll talk with perhaps the most controversial man working on television today, Geraldo Rivera.
These are things you never hear about because it's not in the best interests of the press, because they're out to take a swipe or do a hatchet job.
When Mrs. Andreoli called the fire department, she didn't know what to do. But because someone else did, her son Andrew was revived. In an emergency, knowing what to do can literally mean the difference between life and death. That's why the Journal of Emergency Medical Services has created this emergency first aid videotape. It gives you short, simple, easy-to-follow demonstrations that anyone can learn. And it's all done in the privacy of your own home. You'll see how to handle all sorts of emergencies, from the right way to stop a nosebleed to CPR. And these quick reference reminder cards are also included for instant help when an emergency arises. Think about this. If someone in your family were choking, could you save their life? Look, we get videotapes all the time to entertain us. But no videotape we've ever taken home can even come close to the critical importance of owning this one. And it's so inexpensive, only $39.95. Is it worth it? Ask the Andreolis. Please, for your family's sake, don't put it off. Call for your first aid tape right now.
The first aid videotape is not sold or rented in any store. It's only available by calling this special number, 1-800-762-2100. When calling, use your credit card to save COD charges. So call now, 1-800-762-2100. That's 1-800-762-2100. This is a free call.
And now back to One-on-One on CNN.
Next up is Geraldo Rivera, who made news recently all across the country for his TV special, American Vice, The Doping of a Nation.
This is real life. The first in a series of raids we'll be showing you this evening.
The 2-hour broadcast drew a lot of heat from the media because a number of arrests made during the live show involved people who later turned out to be innocent. In this interview with Frank Radis, Rivera defended the content and the execution of the program.
What precautions did you take, Geraldo, to ensure the safety of this production from a legal standpoint?
We had three major rules. Number one, that the arrest would have taken place regardless of the cameras. Just as importantly, that the arrest was based on an undercover narcotics buy on the premises that day. In other words, an undercover cop went onto the premises and bought dope. Then using that information, that the cops then went to a judge and got a legally executed search and arrest warrant. In San Jose, where 2 people were arrested and 1 was let go, who was just living there, and that was the only one that the press featured. The other guy was dealing dope and indeed sold dope to an undercover cop that day. In Houston, where the woman was let go, and that's all that people hear about, the other person living with her was a convicted fugitive, a fugitive from justice, armed, who sold dope to 2 undercover officers, 2 different sales that day. In Fort Lauderdale, where they found 6 pounds of coke and arrested, among other people, a Bahamian police officer, they had gone into the trash cans behind the house and found kilo bags, empty kilo bags with cocaine residue still in it, indicating a very high volume coke business. But those are things you never hear about because it's not in the best interest of the press, because they're out to take a swipe or do a hatchet job.
Geraldo, what kind of security did you have for this operation? Didn't the people in the neighborhood have some suspicions?
No. There was a police van, part of the police convoy, going to conduct the raid with our camera in it. Had a cameraman attached to a technician who was shooting a signal up to a helicopter that was hovering overhead. In other words, there was no set equipment in the neighborhood. We didn't even know where the bus were going to take place. The police refused to tell us where the bus were actually going to go down. It wasn't a television event. It was a police event that happens 2,000 times every single day in this country. And what we did was record it. The difference is, because it was on national TV, all of the local people, because of their own frustrations or their own problems or their own true resentment, attacked it, the people in the areas where the live broadcasts emanated. But I defend it absolutely. The program accomplished exactly what it set out to. It alerted people to the extent of the problem, the substance of the problem, and the seriousness of the problem.
When you were putting this all together, I know that there must have been a tremendous energy level amongst you and your staff. Tell me about that.
There was a feeling that we could use live television to define this problem in a way that was, for the first time, effective, in a way that could make a difference. And we knew there would be risks involved. But the problem with network news today is that it doesn't take enough risks. Live television in the early days, the pioneer days, the infancy of television, the television business, was far more energetic and exciting. The reason people reject traditional network news documentaries today is that they don't take any chances at all. Everything is so pat, everything is so neat, everything is so structured so that the anchor person is never shown in any way with a hair out of place or with anything that they don't control absolutely. So with the energy of that and the risk of live television and the excitement and the technological hurdles, the energy of the production team was intense. The concentration was intense, and so was the professionalism. That's one of the reasons I'm so insulted by these cheap shot critics who don't understand what it took and don't understand the homework, the journalistic and legal homework that went into each and every one of these things. Thankfully, 99.9% of the public does appreciate what we did. And the fact that it's the 4th highest rated syndicated special in the history of television indicates that.
One woman arrested on American Vice and subsequently released recently filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Rivera. 2 weeks later, that same woman was again arrested for possession of marijuana. When One-on-One returns, we'll talk with a couple whose match was made in Hollywood.
It was unlike any other feeling I've ever had, with the exception of one. It was like my wedding day.
Now, brilliant nail colors for today's new fashions. Leave press-on nails in 18 deep, rich, dimensional colors. Cotton candy. Sample. Opal mist. Mysterious. Leave press-on nails. 18 great nail colors you just press on with undreamed-of ease. Desert mold. Love. Fiesta. Lively. Sugar plum. Luscious. 40 Lee adhesive tabs and 20 Lee press-on nails for a perfect fit. Leave press-on nails. 18 sensational fashion colors. Press on.
Get this state-of-the-art electronic push-button phone free. When you buy 10 rolls or more of Owens Corning pink fiberglass insulation.
For 60 minutes of the most comprehensive, unbiased news coverage, watch CNN's Prime News. 60 minutes of news that extends the headlines into stories. Join Chris Curl, Don Farmer, and Bernard Shaw on CNN's Prime News every night at 8 Eastern.
And now back to One-on-One on CNN.
Now, in honor of the Valentine's Day weekend, an interview with a two-career couple. You know the husband, and if you don't know his wife, you will soon. Kasem is famous as the voice behind commercials, as well as the host of American Top 40. Jean Kasem is an actress with a leading role in a new sitcom. The Tortellis was the 7th most popular show the week it debuted. Jean Kasem stars as the ditzy wife of a TV repairman.
You've extended my metaphor.
Oh, Nikki, I didn't mean to.
For Mrs. Kasem, it represents a step out of the shadow of her famous husband. For him, it's a vindication, because he was her champion for over 7 long years when many in Hollywood ignored her. That was the focus of their interview with Sandy Kenyon.
What was it like finally getting this series, Jean?
It was unlike any other feeling I've ever had, with the exception of one. It was like my wedding day. And the day that the show premiered, I said to my husband that morning, I said, is it possible for a woman to ever recapture the feeling that she has on her wedding day? I said, I've got jelly knees. I said, you're in a perpetual motion. You can't stop. You can't get off. You're just going to keep going. And I said, it's just, I didn't know you could repeat a feeling like that. It was very exciting.
How did you feel, Kasem?
Well, I didn't begin to feel it until that last day, and then I suddenly realized it's really here, because it's been a long wait.
Casey, did it ever get frustrating that other people didn't see Jean's talent as you did?
Frustrating, but understandable. First, she went with the name Thompson. Then she says, I want to be a Kasem. I said, it's going to be rougher on you. Thompson, they don't know who you are. You've got 2 strikes against you if you're a Kasem, simply because it's another actor or another performer who has a wife who wants to be in the business. And I said, it's going to be rough on you, Jean. She says, well, I'd prefer it that way. And so she went in that direction. And it was difficult, because not too many people took her seriously. When I said, here's a girl who has tremendous talent, outside of the class and the people who really knew and who had seen her work, people would say, oh, sure, I guess so, Casey. But, you know, really you should think about it. And it was disheartening, because even close friends were not ready to believe. But I can understand that. It really is a problem in Hollywood. Sometimes being the son or the wife of somebody who's a so-called celebrity can make it difficult for that person.
Did you ever think, maybe I am biased? After all, Jean is your wife.
Never. No, I'll tell you why. I think I'm probably where I am in show business because I'm pretty honest with myself. And I'm very, very critical of my work particularly. So as a result, I would be critical of her work as well. And when I saw it instantly, I knew it was there. And then it was reconfirmed by several people along the way. So if no one had recognized she had talent, then I would begin to doubt what it is I saw. But when her teacher, who I respect, a director and an actress and successful, saw it and said after 2 days, she's going to be the biggest thing I've ever had in my class, then I knew that I was on the right track. But still, it still took several years for it all to work. And that's the way show business works. The overnight success just doesn't happen.
Jean, what would you say to people who perhaps haven't even seen the show, who would say, you're there because you're Casey Kasem's wife?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that there are people in Middle America, back on the East Coast, around the world, that pick up the tabloids or magazines, and they see that I'm his wife, and they probably think that I've got an easier in. But I want to tell you something very important that happens in this town. You may get a door open for you easier, because you are related to someone, because you are married to someone, but when you blow through that door, you better have all the emotion, all the energy, and you better have enough craft to where you swell up and you fill that room and you can't blow out that door, because you're lucky if you get a once-in-a-lifetime chance to blow in that door.
And no professional jealousy.
Oh, I don't think that'll ever happen.
No.
I take real pride in what she's done, and I really feel feel very much a part of her career, because I'd like to think that I was the first to recognize that she had that special quality.
Jean Kasem's show has dropped quite a bit in the ratings since it premiered, but many insiders are convinced that even if the Tortellis fails, Casey Kasem's wife will not. And that's it for this edition of One-on-One. Next time, we'll interview the mother-daughter country superstars, the Judds.
In my life is where
Also, TV's Linda Carter and Broadway's newest sensation, Robert Lindsay.
You're pulling my tickler again. Nothing could be more serious.
I'm Laurin Sydney in New York, and for all of us here on One on One, have a good evening.
The secret to Jimmy's American Cafe begins here in the kitchen, where each meal, even our hamburger buns, are baked fresh daily. And that guarantees you a real taste of the good life. From fettuccine Alfredo to the Mexican Fiesta, barbecued ribs, orange roughy, and sesame chicken, you'll be getting the best Des Moines has to offer.